did a redirect, and then I had to try it again. I had to go in that redirect. I had to enter it again.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know what that was about, but
Yeah. Well, it was because well, anyway, it doesn't matter why. It was a technical thing. That's why, because I sent you a different link. That's why. So,
okay.
No
pearls today.
What?
No pearls today.
No. I'm actually we're live now. So we're live. I was just trying to figure out if there's a way I could see the chat, but I don't think there is. Okay, I don't know. Anyway, so we have. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I was just trying to figure out if there's a way I could see the chat, but I don't think there is. Wait a minute. Anyway, so we have. Oh, here we go. Yeah. No, what happened?
You hear it playing?
Yeah.
Okay.
How do I shut that off? Are you there? You're there, right? Okay.
I'm here.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I think there's one of me and two of you.
Well, I closed the website, so, but anyway, so we can't see the chat. That's the point. Is that? Oh, view the stream. But the problem with viewing the stream on Facebook is, yeah, the problem is that there's a delay.
Yeah.
So forget that. Okay, we won't view the stream on Facebook, but if I go in there, I can see.
Want to view the stream with? Can you view the stream with the sound of it off? With the audio off?
Well, no, because my audio's off. I mean,
the same
off.
Audio.
Yeah. Anyway,
Facebook audio off.
All right, technicalities. How much fun, right? We're having so much fun with technology. We had an early morning. I had to go renew my driver's license, and I had to go over to Secretary of State to get the new driver's license.
Did it go smoothly?
It did, actually, but we got there. They open at 7:30. They dedicate Mondays to getting the new driver's license. Now you can get that real ID, which I guess in the future we're going to need to get onto an airplane. It's like
they pushed it back like 5 times, and I think now it's 2023.
That's what they told us this morning, that it's 2023. But and I guess if you have a passport, you don't need the real ID. But in the future, we're going to need this real ID. Well, I come to find out here, I've been married 45 years. Of course, I was a child bride. I was only 5 when I got married.
What did you find out?
And I find out that I don't have the actual marriage certificate, that all I have is the thing from the church, and they won't recognize that.
Wow.
I know.
Why did you need that this time and never before?
Because I was trying to get the real ID with my driver's license, on my driver's license. I know, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's like 45 years.
Requirement under the new.
Well, it is for me, because I have to prove a legal name change. Because I didn't keep my maiden name. I took Bob's name when we got married. So Bob didn't have to have the wedding certificate. Only I do, which, something to think about.
Yeah.
But anyway, we got over there. They'd open at 7:30. We were there like 5 minutes before they opened. And if you're not a senior, you have to just stand in line. And it was already down the block. The line was a block long already at like 7:20.
Well, that's interesting, because Stump had to renew his, I don't know, like a month or 2 ago. Now he did it up in Lake County up here somewhere, but they did it. It was strictly by appointment. So he was like, COVID is the best thing that's ever happened to the DMV
Uh,
because he got there a few minutes early. They there was somebody outside to like greet and like had him wait a few minutes, and then it was just like clockwork, and he was in and out of there in a few minutes, and it was all like by like 10-minute appointments or something. So there was no waiting in line or any of that. So I
well,
don't know.
that is nice. No, that's not how they do it in Chicago. By the time
Yeah,
we left, and actually it was a pretty um, speedy process once you get inside. But because we're
yeah.
seniors, we didn't have to wait. We went around to the back. We went over to the Secretary of State over on Elston Avenue over there. I'm sure they have other locations, but they don't have a ton of locations. But anyway, so we go around to the back, and the seniors they let in right away. They get priority, and
Another benefit of being a Jurassic realtor.
right, exactly, exactly. So we were out by about 8:15. It didn't take too long, and I found out I didn't have a low these many years. I never had the county recognized marriage license. I only had the thing from the church, which they don't recognize. So I
So
got I got to go to the courthouse now and get a wedding marriage license or my
you go
marriage
get
license.
for that.
What's that?
Go get in line for that.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, and she was telling me go out to Melrose Park, and I'm like, Melrose Park? How's that easier than going downtown? I don't know. Whatever. I don't know. I'll have to figure that out. But so that was my big excitement. We were up bright and early and out at the Secretary of State, and Bob got his real ID, and I have to go back once I get a marriage certificate. But
Yeah, when I renewed my passport near the end of 2019, I also for like an extra, I don't know, $20 or whatever, you could get the passport card as well. So it's like a driver's license, like a
oh,
so I got that as well because you can use that in lieu of it until I get my real ID on the driver's license or whatever. But so
oh.
I not only have the passport, but just the passport, card that goes in my wallet.
Huh, interesting. Huh. I didn't know about that. Well, I need to
Yeah,
renew my passport
yeah.
too, so I'm
It's kind of
hoping.
meant more for people that go back and forth over the border a lot, like to Mexico or whatever. But yeah, it was like, well, why not for the extra, 20 or $25, just have it. Yeah.
Interesting. Huh. Okay. Well, anyway, so what's going on in the real estate world? What's new with you in the real estate world? Did we want to talk
Um,
about that article in Cranes from an Inman News last week about
uh,
about the I saw something too this morning. I'm trying to remember what it was. Um, that I thought was interesting too. Um, what the heck was it? Mm, I thought I saved it, but I guess I didn't. Hmm. Oh, yes. Wait a minute. It was Leonard Steinberg. Oh, this is what it was. Leonard Steinberg. Did you see this? He posted a one bedroom, 2.5 bath. I'm going to share my screen because this is unbelievable. He posted on the Compass Catch for today.
uh-huh.
He posted a one bedroom condo. Apparently it's a condo. I'm guessing it's a condo. 2
Probably
point
co-op.
2.9 million.
Yeah.
And it's in a neighborhood apparently called Dumbo. What is that? What is Dumbo? Do you know?
Yeah, I forgot what it stands for. It's kind of like, Soho south of Houston or whatever. It's like it stands for
Yeah, well,
uh,
I assume that it stands for something. Can you see it?
what it
Seven,
is.
70 Washington Street,
Oh, it's in
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. Okay.
One
Yeah.
bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2.875 million. Have it all in Dumbo.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably if it was in Manhattan, I was gonna say it's probably a co-op too, and has like $3,000 a month assessments or something as well. But now I see it's in Brooklyn, and it looks like it's that great. It may not be, but in any case, yeah, it's probably
You know,
So
my developers, it's off the market. I wonder what that's about. Um, Bespoke home. I love that. Everything's bespoke nowadays, right?
yeah,
In the
there's
heart of Dumbo,
uh,
next to um, um, let's look at some of these pictures, shall we? I haven't done this. I guess that's the terrace. Oh my God. So I guess prices in New York are a little higher than they are in Chicago. $3 million. I don't know. What do you think? Oh, there's their Okie. Okie's
uh,
in the picture.
it's kind of funny because they say we're not supposed to do that. We're not supposed to have dogs in them, but I don't know why. The toilet I get, the dog I don't know.
Well, they got the toilet too.
Yeah, remember at Sotheby's they wouldn't let they wouldn't
Right,
allow.
at Sotheby's, they wouldn't allow the toilet.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, okay, so how many square feet? Does it say how many square feet it is? But still, come on, it's one bedroom. I mean, obviously it's big. It's a big one bedroom, obviously. $3 million. Yep, there's another toilet.
yep, straight on.
Huh. Anyway, I saw that. I thought it was. I know when Dennis Rodkin and Amy Guth do their real estate thing, they always show the weird properties. Actually, 2 weeks ago, he showed a bungalow, and I just closed on a house just a block from that bungalow. It's over in Mayfair on the corner of Argyle and Keeler, I think. It's 5000 North Keeler, and I had watched. They do the weekly real estate update, and I was over there for the final walkthrough on the property that I sold. And I drove by. I'm like, oh, there's that house that Dennis Rodkin had on his weekly real estate update. So
It was like
anyway,
seeing a celebrity.
yeah, right. Anyway,
Yeah,
let's talk a little bit about this article that we were talking about.
down under something, down under. It's one of the bridges, like down under the. It's not Brooklyn.
Oh, something Brooklyn Bridge or something. M.
Is there a Manhattan Bridge? It's like down under the Manhattan Bridge or something like that.
Well, I wonder what the O stands for, just to make it a. Well, here, let's.
Maybe instead of just being dumb.
Instead of just being dumb, right? What is Dumbo? What is Dumbo? Dumbo, Brooklyn, down under the Manhattan Bridge overpass.
Oh, there.
Oh, and here's a map of where it is. Okay, I'm going to share this now. Since we brought it up, we'd love to sell that, by the way. We're not licensed in New York, but hey, we can refer a buyer, right? So here it is. Here's Dumbo. Dumbo.
Oh yeah.
Trendy cobblestone streets, converted Brooklyn warehouse buildings. I guess it's on the water. I guess that's part of it. But it looks like it's all here. The cliffs at Dumbo. Down, is this the Manhattan?
Yeah, that's the Manhattan Bridge. The Brooklyn Bridge is there on the left. So it's basically
okay.
To the north.
Huh.
To the
Well,
north.
my fix and flip guys that that I did those 2 or 3 deals with, they moved back to Brooklyn, and that's where they're living. They're renting a place in Brooklyn. Well, they were the last time I talked to them, which has been about a year ago. But yeah, so I guess Brooklyn is the place now. I guess. I wonder what it would be if you were in Manhattan, huh?
Well, it's already moved to, believe it or not, to like Queens as the new Brooklyn. Yeah.
Well, I suppose it's an affordability issue, right? Somewhat.
I think affordability and availability. I mean, I've kind of like, redone everything already in Brooklyn, and it's kind of already almost like had its day. And for people that are, wanting to be a little edgier and stuff and have a little more grit and all that, they've kind of been pushed out of Brooklyn now and are doing the same thing up in Queens.
Yeah. I wonder I wonder if COVID has had, I would imagine that COVID has had a similar impact on their market as it has on ours with the downtown
Yeah,
being,
you know, my friends in New York have said that uh, down, like, you know, until recently, Manhattan was even more dead than downtown Chicago, that there was nobody on the streets. And they were more locked down than we were for most of that, for, you know, most of that period. But I know it's coming back around too, but that, yeah, it was really, but, you know, it reminds me of one of the stats, speaking of Leonard, one of the stats Leonard actually had on one of his daily emails maybe 2 or 3 months ago, was that even after all of the press about you know, everybody kind of leaving the city, well, all of the cities, but particularly New York, and during COVID, and you know, kind of fleeing the cities and going to the countryside, going to their, you know, summer homes and renting houses out in other places, or even going, you know, out of state or across country to quarantine, and how many people had actually kind of left the city for good. The actual stat was that there were more people moving into New York than there were leaving. Now it was a demographic change, but there were actually more numbers incoming into New York City, not necessarily New York State. I don't know about the state, but New York City, there were more people coming in than going out. So that was really kind of surprising, I think, to everybody. But
hmm,
yeah, and I think some of it evidently had to do with affordability, that there was a bunch of, you know, there was an opportunity to, you know, get some rentals or get some places in the city at prices they hadn't been able to before.
well, I was going to say, I mean, with the downturn in the market in our downtown market, I mean, there's got to be some opportunity there for, because you know, as soon as we come back, whatever the new normal is going to look like, but you got to know that that market's going to bounce back. And
Yeah,
I don't
and
know if,
I think it's a real opportunity for people. I've got uh, a property in Streeterville right now that's been listed since about the holidays, just under 900,000, which had been pretty much market for what it was. It's a two bed, but it's 1,770 square feet, so it's a really a good, you know, good size. But those, that's what they had been selling, you know, for. Um, but there's been, you know, like a huge influx on the market, and things have been sitting. Well, just in the past, we're actually negotiating a couple of deals on it right now, but the new market has kind of been determined just in the past week. A few of the places have gone under contract, and we know what they've gone under contract for, which is significantly less. But now that we know, here's what.
oh, yes, okay, thank you. Sorry,
All right.
we've been waiting on a plumber.
Uh,
So I'm sorry, what was the last, say that last bit again?
well, I was just saying now that, so a few of the places just went under contract, and we know what they're closing for. So now that we know what the new pricing is going to be, what the new market value is going to be, we're kind of, you know, rushing to get it, you know, done before all of them close. But in any case, what I'm saying is there's, you know, probably about a 10% decrease in market value for what these things
Wow.
are going to be going
So you're
for.
saying, so I mean, if it was listed for 900, you're talking a $90,000 price decrease.
Correct, correct, yeah, around that. Um,
Wow.
a little more for a couple that already went under contract, but um, somebody had to be the first to go, you know, and so I think they'll come up just a little bit, but just, you know, for what the comps are going to be, they can't be much higher than that. So yeah, probably around 10%. But I agree with you. You know, things are going to come back downtown like they have in the rest of the city. It's just got some catching up to do, but it is a real opportunity for people if they want to get someplace
But it's
downtown.
interesting. So you've been on the market since the first of the year, essentially, or
It
since,
was Christmas week, actually. Yeah,
and so now, and this past week is, you've had two offers on the property.
two, yeah, almost three. Uh,
How do you get almost three?
Uh, it
It's,
it was
it's like
verbal,
Yoda. There is no try. There is do or there is not do.
well, it was verbal, and by the time it got to writing, they took one of the other ones that was the same, yeah, same thing. There were three buyers floating around between the few units that were available, a few similar units that were available. So um, yeah, that's what it was. But so, and it was important because there were three buyers, not just two buyers, but there are three buyers suddenly.
Now, have you been in the formal MLS or have you been on private listing network?
No, it's in the MLS. Yeah, all
Now,
of them.
when did you go live in the MLS?
Christmas week.
Oh, so you've been live in the MLS.
Yeah,
And had you had any offers
but I mean that's
previously?
downtown. So I mean most of
No,
those
no,
things have
no,
been
no.
for
I
more than a
understand. I
year.
understand.
Yeah.
What?
Most of those other ones have been on for over a year.
Wow.
So it's I mean, yeah, that's we talked about the PLN before, but that's and we had it in the PLN for a brief time before that, just waiting for the right time to go on, but more related to the seller than anything. But yeah, the PLN isn't that big of a thing right downtown right now because there's so much on the market. So it's not,
Mhm.
it doesn't have that same sort of opportunity, that it does
Well,
everywhere.
that's true. And I think that whole, what we talked about,
And I guess we should say the PLN is the private listing network. So it's before properties officially hit the market. You're frozen on my end, Mary. Not sure if you can hear me or not, but you're completely frozen. Guess we'll wait for her to come back on. Hopefully it won't take but a few minutes or a few seconds. I apologize to anybody who's on here live. Sorry about that. Here she comes. You're muted right now.
Here I am. Oh boy. Oh wow. So what we were talking about the PLN, and I was just in the middle of saying that I don't think that the PLN back in December, and as you point out downtown, was quite the we weren't using as strategically as we are now.
Correct. And it wasn't needed as strategically as it is now because of the amount of property on the market. But and what I was saying when you froze up on my end was I was describing what the PLN was for people who don't know, the private listing network. That's, you know, for when before the property actually hits the MLS. That's so
Right. And I call it the FOMO marketing strategy, fear of missing out marketing strategy.
true.
Did you cover that? My FOMO marketing
No,
strategy?
no, that's yours. I'll let you own.
Yeah, so I mean now it's become a thing where the PLN began as a way to, as the market was getting active, before you were actually ready to come to market formally with your floor plans and your photographs and all that. It's like, and or maybe a seller has some staging that they want to do, whatever. It's like, before, while we're going through all of this process, let's see if there's a buyer out there who will come along and buy it, was kind of
Which,
the idea of how
yeah,
it worked,
I
right?
think it's still part of it. And you could still call that FOMO, but it was a FOMO for the seller, not necessarily for the buyer, you know, because you're making sure that you weren't missing out on somebody that was out there in the marketplace while you were preparing the listing.
Right.
So I think it's the same concept, just maybe flipped around. But I still think that that is part of the strategy, even if it's not just, you know, trying to get a buyer that will pay up for the property before it actually hits the market, because there still is, especially right now, I think, trying to figure out pricing and what somebody's willing to pay, and get other, you know, potential buyers and agents through the property to not, you know, not only for pricing but strategy and staging, and you know, what things you may need to do or not do before you officially go on the market. I think those are all still valid reasons and valid you know, parts of the private listing network. But it's just been that lately, because of the insane market in most of the city and most of the country, that it's also been a way to get, you know, buyers before, you know, give them an opportunity to possibly, maybe not always, but pay up for the property before it actually hits the market and they lose out, you know, the opportunity in multiple offers.
Mhm, mhm. Right. So, yeah, I know it's a tough market, and we've been reading lots of stuff in the trades. I actually read an interesting article in Crane's I think it was last Monday's Crane's, about how, because of the Great Recession and how banks were required to bump up their reserves when COVID hit last year and we all locked down, they were all pretty well tightening their belts, not making loans, stocking up their reserves, and had the capital to do so because of the Great Recession and the requirements. But that all actually didn't happen. What happened is that people paid down their debt. And they actually, there was a really interesting article, and maybe this is something we can talk about next week a little bit. How I think because we're coming up on 12:30, so I don't want to overrun this too long, but certainly has been an interesting market. We're in
And it's been a good year for banks after all of that.
After all of that, it's been a good year for banks, and they have plenty of money in reserves, and they're starting to open up their lending criteria. I mean, that's the other great difference between the economy this time around and the Great Recession in '08, when we had the huge meltdown, is that back in '05 and '06, if you could fog up a mirror, you could get a loan, literally. And, they just were making loans. Uh, you didn't have to prove your income. You could just kind of make up any numbers you wanted. The banks didn't require you to prove that you had the income. Well, of course, that whole environment has gone away
At least
long
some
ago.
programs didn't require that. Not, yeah.
Yeah, there were some programs that didn't
Right,
require
right.
that, but so whoop, now it's your turn. We're having technological difficulties today. It's just, goes with the territory. But anyway, it's we certainly are living in an interesting financial environment and a real estate market, like something I don't think I've ever quite seen in my career, and probably nothing like you've seen in yours either, I would imagine.
Not exactly. I mean, we had some, at least not in Chicago. I mean, a lot of this is the sorts of things that's always happened on the West Coast and East Coast. These kind of booms and busts, and Chicago's been so much more of a,
Even,
stabilized. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But and I think we experienced some early 2000s and some really busy times, but uh, nothing quite like this because of the nothing with this lack of inventory that's created such a
Mhm,
around the properties that are on the market. At
mhm.
least that, again, to qualify, in most of the city and state, not downtown. That's
Right.
still
Well,
the
and
buyers,
what? Say that again. What?
still the buyer's domain right now.
Right, right. Anyway, all right. Well, that's lunch with Mary and Wes. I hope you found the conversation interesting, if not terribly enlightening. I don't know, but we'll plan to see you next Monday for lunch. And if you have any questions or want to reach out to us, by all means, put it in the chat. We will pick it up after we're done and reach back to you. We might migrate over to LinkedIn. I don't know, but we'll keep you posted on that if we migrate this platform over to LinkedIn rather than Facebook. But there's a process I have to go through to do that. So I'm not sure about that, but we'll keep you posted. And in the meantime, have a great week. And we'll see you next week. Bye
Bye.
for now.